what made me join the Green Party was that I lived down on Somerleyton Road, Cole Harbour Lane, in the Guinness estate. 400 flats, social housing. Rent was about £100 a week. It wasn't a pretty place to live, but it was a beautiful place to live, if you hear what I'm saying. Yeah, so aesthetically, it wasn't pretty on the eye, but the people that lived there, you know, Tupac speaks about the rose that grows it out of the concrete. That Guinness estate was like that, because the people there was just nice people, you know? One night, one of my spas come round to check me. It must have been about 3 or 4 in the morning, and my door's wide open. And the brother, yo, Rash. I said, yeah, come through. And he said, why don't you close your door, brother? It's 3:30 in the morning. This is Brixton. Aren't you afraid? And this is a few years back. And I said to him, brother, I said, who am I going to be afraid of, really? This is my community here. These are my neighbours. Ain't no one gonna, you know, nothing gonna happen. And he just laughed. He said, yeah, true. And what I saw was a community of people that went against every single stereotype that had been said about Brixton community at the time. So right now, Brixton's all gentrified and yupped up and everything else. But at the time, it was still Brixton, you know, and where I live was like one of the last little real Brixton spots. And then the landlords ran the estate into the ground. They didn't spend no money on the estate. They didn't spend nothing at all. The place looked nasty. And all it needed was basic refurbishment. New kitchens, new windows, give it decent home standards, and it was a wrap. It would have been done. And they wouldn't even do that. And they ran it into the ground. Then they stuck in a planning application to demolish the estate, to rebuild it with more flats and plan all this stuff. And it was a lady that lived on the estate, and everyone said this woman was crazy, because on the estate it was like maybe 85-90% of the people on the estate was African Caribbean. There was a few English families left, and there was one lady who had a very profound impact upon me, and she used to get cussed by the people from the office. They said she was mad. They said she's a tree hugger. She's an activist, she's a traveller, she's a hippie. They cuss her. And one day I saw the lady and we started talking. I said, why did they give you such a hard time for? So then she explained to me all what was going on with the estate where we lived. And she said, what they're doing is wrong. They're trying to destroy the community. And because they're trying to destroy the community, and I'm fighting for the community, there's an English lady fighting for a bunch of West Indians and West Africans. And because I'm fighting for the community, they say that I'm like an eco-warrior. I want to build tree houses and have the children eating peanuts and lentils and all kind of foolishness. And once she told me all the facts, then I realized that here I had to move, I had to operate. And she said to me, you realize that you have to talk to these people because I can't talk to them. It's not my role to talk to them. And that's what really got me thinking about the whole process. And then when I saw how we operated and we started to mobilize all the residents on the estate to fight to hold on to their homes, to stop the plan application. And we went to our local councillors and we raised the issue with our councillors that had been elected by the people. And they was all Labour councillors. And they all shafted the people. They sold all the people out. I was like, whoa. 3 councillors. One of the councillors even oversaw the election for the Residents Association, because the landlords, a housing trust, didn't like the fact that we were organising. So they started to discredit us straight away. So we got the local councillor to run the election, say, look, it's a fair election. Called a press conference, and the landlords still wouldn't deal with us. And they drove the whole process through, and they started knocking down the estate. And people got really upset, and some people died because of the stress that they went through. Yeah, brother, people died. There was a bag of sisters. One day we had a support meeting, and there was a circle of sisters, about 10 women, And they started talking about what they was being prescribed by their doctors. Oh, I'm on blah, blah, blah. How much milligrams of that? I'm on 200 milligrams. You're on 200? I'm on 500 milligrams of that. And I was like, whoa. And all of them were suffering from stress because their homes were being threatened. One woman said that all she would do, she would sleep, and she couldn't sleep at night because in her dreams, people was chasing her in her dreams. And so she couldn't sleep. Then she had to go to work and she'd break down and start crying at work. So then the boss would give her a hard time. And she couldn't sleep. So in the end, she goes to the doctors and he just gives her more and more antidepressants. And had the estate strung out like junkies, prescription junkies. I was like, rotted. And the council knew this was happening and didn't do nothing to help the people. So what do? I got to stand in it. I got to swing.
So when you was living, is it gone now?
Half of it is gone. Just over half is gone. Half the residents got dashed out onto the street. I mean, I'm talking about they threw the people out onto the street. Every single health and safety regulation that they could contravene, they went for all of it. My brother, what they was doing when they were demolishing them blocks and the whole estate was shaking like it was an earthquake and the dust was flying all over the place and people was getting asthma attacks. So I phoned health and safety and said, listen, what's going on? You can't be doing this. You can't do this in West End. You can't do this in Chelsea. But down in Brixton, Somerleyton and Cole Harbour, them man just coming with the bulldozers, dust was flying all over the place. Asbestos, certain flats had asbestos. Yeah.
Those old buildings.
Sorry, go ahead.
Those old buildings that were like listed buildings, as they being demolished.
Yeah.
Can you tell me when it started?
They started the demolition, must have been 2013 finally. After going through all the planning and all the stuff, they started the demolition from there. But like I said, people died, people had strokes, you know, because you've broken up a people's support network, you know, and it's gone. So and what they replaced it with, or what they replaced it with. So they're building like 200 social homes. And they're nice places. I'm not knocking them. They built, you know, if you're lucky enough to have the right tenancy, it's cool. You got a nice place, big balcony, everything looking nice. You know, it's cool. But if you're that other side, remember I said to you about the drawbridge. Remember when we started? Yeah. If you made it across the bridge and you're in the castle, you good. But if you're there gripping on as the drawbridge is going up, you might drop and get eaten by the crocodile. And if you don't make it across, you're just there looking across at the people who managed to make it. And that's what's happened to the Guinness. So half the people have made it, and the other half are just clinging on or they're getting dashed out. And the Labour Council knew what was happening and didn't do nothing to help the people and left the people. So that's what really got me politicised. So when I realised that Labour wasn't my friend, as much as my parents said, yes, you must vote Labour, Labour is good for the people, I said, nah, sir, I'm not voting for these men. So then it was down to a process of elimination, and mashallah, I end up with the brothers from the Greens who have a very good agenda on how they deal with social justice, how they support social housing, how they are against the idea of charging young people £6,000 or £9,000 or £12,000 a year to go to university. Why should my man Daniel be strapped with £70,000 the day he steps out of university? You might as well go to the road, innit, Daniel? You might as well try your chances. So we don't believe in all that kind of stuff. So when we talk about balancing the books, you have to understand that the books need to be balanced by all means, but with a degree of morality in there and common sense. Because if not, we're going to end up eating our children, it seems like. One day I was walking down Cole Harbour Lane with Rachel Hayward, the ward councillor, and 20 people said hello to me, and nobody knew who she was. And I kept introducing her to people, like, yo, this is Rachel Hayward, she's your councillor.
For how many years was she their councillor?
She's been the councillor for about, I don't know, 12 years, something like that. And no one knew she. They're like, I thought, really? I said, what's your complaint? Man, why the police them keep stopping me? Tell Rachel. So every single person that we saw, I said, what's your complaint? Tell Rachel. Make her work for her money. Because she's a cabinet member. Make her work for this money. And then we got to the corner of Atlantic Road and Cole Harbour Lane, just where the crossing, where the chicken shop is. And we stopped. And I looked at her, and she looked at me. And our eyes met, you know, for that like fraction of a second, where it's like you could look into a person's soul. And she realized, she was like, holy shit, this man's gonna try and take my job. She realized it, she knew it. And I looked at her and I was like, I'm coming for your job, Rachel. And that's what happened. And that was the start of my process. And then I met Roger, and you know, Roger was like, you know, the Greens don't do anything in Cole Harbour really. So it'd be interesting to have a man like yourself off the block in Cole Harbour running. It'd be really interesting. I think to use Roger's phrase, he was like, because he's a very good old school English man. He said, I say it's like putting the cat amongst the pigeons, I think, yes. And I thought, yeah, that is the one, isn't it? Let's put the cat amongst the pigeons. So when we hit the block, myself and Big Boy from Soup Kitchen, Solomon, we went out there and we campaigned so hard for the Greens that people didn't know what the Greens was. They didn't understand the process. A man thought that the Greens was the Jamaica Labour Party. It was Lloyd Coxon of Sir Coxon International Sound System said to me, Rash, tell me when you're ready and I will put Coxon's sound system on a van for you and drive it around Brixton and tell people, vote Green, vote Rashid. I said, Coxon, because Coxon is my sound system, that's what I love. So when we talk about having that little connect, to know that there's certain man on the community level that would be like, yo, brother, I don't know about this green thing, but I know you, to answer your question in a very long-winded way. So Coxon pointed out to me, he said, one thing though, with this green thing, he said, you realize in Jamaica, the Greens are the right-wing party. Right. They call them the Jamaica Labour Party, but they're actually a right-wing party. A bit like the Labour Party over here, actually, you know what I'm saying? So,
in Jamaica, they're like the conservative.
Yeah, they're the conservative. Man said same thing in Australia. So you see, this is something that cuts across all those traditional boundaries that we place in terms of nationality and colour and class. It's all a hype thing, but they got us thinking as separate entities, but in reality, we're all connected. We got more in common than what we have as difference. But them man have got us hyping our differences, arguing about our differences, and they just get on and they just lash the cash. Go ahead, sir. And one question.